We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you another episode of We Can Help with Dave and Woody, already in progress.
Can
Why'd
I
you
get?
mute me? Do you mute me?
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, it just started saying, oh, I guess that's the button to mute myself. Okay. Sorry. When you hit record, it suddenly said mute on my screen. So I thought
Well, the good news, we don't edit any of this, so the people at home are like, "What the hell are these guys doing?"
you simultaneously recorded and muted me at the same time. I thought you were playing games with me. Welcome back, Dave.
Hey,
We
we
skipped a week.
we did. What was that? Was that my fault?
Now, both of ours, I think.
Was I sick?
No, I was trying. That was a week before you muscled through.
Oh, you said I pushed through it. That was
You
funny.
pushed
I was
through it.
like, "Oh, did I ever push
Yeah,
through it?"
literally and figuratively. Um, and then last week I was trying to get up to Tennessee
Oh, that's
on
right.
Wednesday night. So we tried to do it Tuesday. We had it scheduled, but then you forgot you had a something that usurped us in priority.
Yeah, I had a FBLA thing, didn't I?
I thought it was your closet place or whatever it's called, the coat closet. What's it called?
Oh, clothes closet and food pantry.
Okay.
Uh, was that the night I had my board meeting, the 11th?
I think so. I think that's what you mentioned.
Yeah.
So you had forgotten, and you said we could go at 8 o'clock at night. And by that time, I was like, I'm done. I didn't have to have it in me. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was going for it. It was our couples weekend at the lake.
Me and
So
you?
yeah, yeah. I see. Remember, I called you. I said, notice you weren't invited.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cold, by the way.
Well, we've been doing it with these two other couples for a couple of years now, and
You're
it,
swingers?
yeah, yeah, that's why. Um,
I
and
don't know if we'd be
so
down for that, by the way.
no, but it just turned out it just happened by chance a few years ago. We all enjoyed it, so we've been trying to do it once a year for the
Yeah.
last, I guess, the fourth year doing it now or something like that. So
We don't want to go to that, by the way. Sounds like
you sure? Okay, all right, you're missing out.
last time we
Free
went to a
free
swingers
beer.
weekend. Yeah, I took my shirt off and everybody was like, no, no, no.
No, it's seesaw, buddy. Not this. Not
No, just
swingers.
kidding. We don't do that stuff. Well, that looks like, I tell you what, that picture I showed Sheila and she was like, holy cow. I said, yeah, Woody's loaded.
What
He
picture did I
plays the,
send you?
you guys are down in the pontoon and you're looking back
Oh,
up
I
at
took a
the
picture of everybody
estate.
in the pontoon boat. That's what
Yeah.
it was. Yeah, we were just sitting at the dock. So one of the gentlemen who goes with us works for a local beer distributor.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, he stocks us just nicely for the weekend up there. And I'm usually scurrying to finish some of them before we have our trip the following year. At this
Oh,
point,
they hold over? I don't think they
yeah,
hold up.
it's he's not
Speaking of
shy.
beer,
He's not shy with them. Yeah, what do you got tonight?
well,
Oh, you're back to Land Shark.
well, I'm not back. I just never finished. My
Oh, so
consumption.
much like the beer at my place in Tennessee. Yes,
Yeah, I just hold on a second here.
it's not going to make a noise.
I mean, it's just not enough. And I'm
Remember
using
that from
my
Caddyshack? There you go in your Sigmund Kai
my
glass.
Schmegma Kai,
In Hoke Shemegma
what
Kai.
the house used to look like. Oh,
Possibly may not look the same. Well, the letters have been removed, right?
I think they're covered.
Yes. Okay. Well, the
I
big
think they
one's
say
out
80
front.
pi now.
You take the A off. ET pie.
I don't know what they've done. I think last time we did this, we agreed we wouldn't laugh about it because there's some people that probably wouldn't see the humor that we do.
We find humor in
The
everything. That's how
silliest
we
things.
that's how we deal with the stressful stuff, Dave, is
Yeah.
we make each other laugh. It's not that we're not serious
Yeah,
and are
but
concerned with the actions of others, but
how
you know.
happy are you that you did not commit to writing a check
Oh,
during the
you don't know that. Maybe I just didn't tell you I
Well,
didn't write a check.
I was going to write 10,000 and I decided
No.
not to. All right,
I moved
let's
I moved a decimal point over 4 slots. There
to
you go.
uh-oh,
There you go.
to Sigma Chi,
There you go. Good
as
luck.
they say over at the West TV.
Yeah, that's right. Be better, get better, do better.
Yeah, I think life
It's always a
hand is-
moron or two. I don't write that up to the whole fraternity or
No.
even the whole chapter. There's
Or
always
leadership.
or leadership. There's always a moron or two that takes it upon themselves to go past the rules and act up and try to act like they're big wigs or and it just it just ends up
So
hurting more people.
let's be honest for a moment, if you will. Harking back to
Yes.
our youth, and we were
Mhm.
off campus over at as they call it, the ghetto.
Yes.
And
my kids couldn't believe I lived in that place when I drove them by. They're like,
Yeah.
"You live there?" I'm like, yeah.
So the things that, whether we were involved in or not, nudge
Right.
week, but that things that took place there, and moving forward to today's world with social media, could
Right.
we have done something as stupid?
Absolutely, but the things we did were in the confines of societal norms at that time, right? Meaning we've grown as a society and we've established different boundaries than what existed in I guess the 80s, late 80s. And I think most, I'll say, because I don't know all the activities none were there. I don't remember any hazing of any kind for one.
I can honestly say,
Right.
my recollection, there was a hint of hazing one night.
Right.
And it wasn't. It never happened. First, for the record, it never happened. And I think it was kind of brought up in joke. And the fella that said it, I made it clear to him that we're not doing that.
Right.
And it never happened. And I can't say previous to us if it happened or not, but the silliness that took place, I don't know that we really did anything that was illegal.
No, that's what I was thinking. Yes, right. But there were some things that in today's realm might be seen eyed a little differently and with a little bit more discriminating eyes.
If a certain events, maybe a handful of events played out on social media, there would be some real discourse around them.
I don't think it would be anything of suspension level or anything like that. Maybe just a, hey, knock it off kind of thing.
Well, there was that one incident in the library that got us pretty close to.
Yeah, but we also got written up on the front page of the paper. And I still have that newspaper.
So do I. I just found it when we moved.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to? I think we told the story on here, didn't we?
No, I don't want to tell it.
Why? It was something straight out of James Bond for me, man. I mean,
okay,
the way it played.
So we'll change the names to protect the innocent.
Okay.
So
I'm Booty, and you're Jave. Jave and Booty were no.
So should I include myself in this story? I guess.
Well,
so.
you really
Central
weren't
character. No, I was a central character, my friend.
Not in the event, but in the aftermath.
Oh, okay. You don't know the story then.
Well, no, I do.
Long
story short, that we held a small party / get together in a study room.
No, you have to have the pre-story. Hold on. Because that just sounds innocuous.
Well, I came in the middle of the party because I heard about it when I got home from work.
So you don't know the whole story. Okay, so I'll give you the story.
The lie.
So,
all right, go ahead.
So Brad, Sam, and myself are over at Nights Out Pub. And we're consuming, shall we say.
Right.
And back in the day when I worked at the circulation desk at the library.
Yeah.
You had these stupid shifts that were like 2 hours, as a student that worked on campus. It was maybe 3 hours, but 2 hours. And as we're sitting there consuming and, solving the world's problems, I look at my watch and go, oh man, I got to go to the library like in 30 minutes and work a shift. So Sam and Brad in their supportive way said, no, Theus, don't, because if you leave, the party's over.
Yeah,
the fun we're having now is over. And so I said, well, wait a minute. What if I go to the library and we'll get one of those study rooms? You guys go get a couple brews and I'll coordinate a study room and then you show up. I'll pass you the key. Be like
Well,
a
no,
key
they
study.
checked no, Brad just got a
No,
study
this
room.
was all coordinated. This is all coordinated.
Why
So
did it
they
have
did,
to be coordinated though?
well, because we had to have the idea. So they went and got the
Oh,
beer. I
got
passed
that.
them the key, and
Right.
they went upstairs. But
What do you get?
somewhere,
He had to turn his ID in to get the key.
yeah. So
Right.
somewhere along the way, the word got out in between me leaving Nights Out Pub and them showing up at the library.
Well, I found out about it at the fraternity house off campus. So,
Without cell phones.
right, right. This is
So,
just straight word of mouth.
so the idea was I would go up in between, during my
Right.
shift and slam a few. And then before we knew it, the shift would be over and we carry on. Well,
Right.
by the time they get upstairs, there is a cavalcade of people coming through the front door. Hey, where is it? What room
And
is
this
it?
is made to have 4 people in the room. It's a desk with 4 chairs, basically,
with windows.
and windows. Right.
Whose idea was it to put the newspapers on the glass?
I'm assuming Karen, since she's the one with the backpack, and she also brought some of the beer. And by the time I got there, there had to be 10 people in there, and they
Were
were
they
playing that.
Pass Out?
Is that the game? I remember that. Pass Out or something like that. So, and then we were all playing. You're down at the front desk. This is up on the 4th floor of a 4-story library. And Sam's like, he was the historian for the fraternity.
Yeah,
he goes,
he went downstairs to get a camera.
yeah, he went down he goes, let me go to my car and get the camera because this is classic, kind of picture. And so I guess he's walking back in the library and sees you over behind the desk.
Yeah, so what's happened is one of our administrators is calling from upstairs and
Oh,
saying there seems to be a ruckus up here. Send somebody up. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What floor are you talking about? And
there's nothing going on up there. What are you talking
dumb,
about?
right? Well, Sam
Fake news. It's fake news. You started it. See?
Sam walking past me hears this. Unbeknownst to me, he's there because
I thought you signaled him.
No, I'm on the phone. He's earshot and goes,
Oh.
He gets to talking to these people. And they're yelling at me, get up here and find out what's going on. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Click and hang up the
Right.
phone. Well, then Sam avoids the elevator and hits the stairs.
Right. And he does the secret knock on the door, and we open up. He goes, you guys got to get out of here. They're coming up to check the room or something like that. And I mean, at this point, it's just mass hysteria. No one questions it, right? No one goes, I'll shut up or anything of that nature. Right? He's like, they're on us, So we all just pick up and throw everything in our backpacks or whatever we had on us.
Yeah, but you leave Pass Out paraphernalia and koozies.
Well, not only koozies, but the trash can was absolutely full of aluminum cans. Beers. Yeah, 15, 20 beers at this point. And so we scattered like cockroaches out the front door. And there was only 3 ways you could go. If you went left, it just dead ended into a bank of elevators. If you went right, it went out to where the stairwell was, but there was a bunch of cubicles, like where you could sit down and read a book, self-study areas. And the third option was straight across the hallway into the men's bathroom. So me, Sam, and Brad, I don't know who led the way, or if I ended up in the bathroom with the 2 of them. And we're standing in and we're like, should we get in the stalls? What in case they come in here? And lo and behold, who is standing at the sink washing his hands is Skippy.
I didn't know he wasn't a part of that, was he?
No, he just happened to be. He's probably he's like, hey, what's up? What's up? We're like, I don't know.
We're studying with you.
Right. First, the guy's about to walk in that door. We're studying with you. But the problem is we have beers in our hand and all the things with us that obviously puts us at the scene of the crime. So after I don't know, it could have been 22 minutes. It could have been 22 seconds. I don't know how long. I don't know how long. So we open the door to the bathroom to see what's going on, and there's 2 guys. So from the bathroom door, you can go right to the elevator bank or left past the study room, your hallway. And we hear the guys in there banging around with the cans, like sort of cleaning up. So we're like, yeah, fudge. So we quietly open the door and we sneak down the hallway. Of course, we go to the dumbest place you can go, and that's the elevator bank. And so we're like, and there was just a little bit of room to hide on the side. So we push the button, to call the elevator up, and we hide on the sides in case they stick their head down the hallway. And so we hear, the elevator goes ding, and the doors open up. And we get on the elevator, and as we turn around, the guy sticks his head out the door, and he's like, "There they are!" And he comes trucking down the hallway, something like out of the Terminator, right? This is my James Bond moment, and the door goes just as his hand gets to it. So
all right, so
we're almost to you again, though.
Yeah.
So we're riding down the elevator, we're like, "What now? What now?" And Brad's like, "My ID's with the key." So me and Sam are like, all right, you need to run up to the front counter. And me and Sam split. We ditched Brad at that point once the elevator door. So I didn't see what occurred up at the front.
Yeah. So he's coming. I've got to swipe the key back in to give his ID back to him. So as soon as I swipe the key back in, it nullifies who had the room.
Oh.
And so I've got like my hand out, like catching the baton from the 400 relay. He knows what we got to do. He hands me the key. I swipe it, and I've got the other hand with his ID. You guys are out the door, and right on his heels is the administrator.
Yeah, because they saw us go down the elevator, so they're running down the stairs to catch us at the elevator. Because the only way out was through that front door.
So right? I'm like in a master's program of how to play dumb, and they're like, "No, don't give it the key in." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And so as soon as they get their swipe, the key goes through, and they have no details of who it was. He's like, "What did you do that for?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So
the guy wanted to pay his card back. Yeah, this wasn't the computer days yet where they would have had history.
Yeah, there was no history. Yeah.
You know how we got busted, though?
Someone saw you guys. There was a reporter there.
No, that Brad, who was running out the front door, was wearing his fraternity jersey with his last name in bright yellow letters on the back of his jersey.
No, they didn't come after us with that. They found koozies with Sigma Chi all over them.
I didn't think we had koozies with Sigma.
Yeah, and they found pieces of the pass out game. And right when all this was going down, like Sam was standing there before, there was this little girl, and she was a reporter from what was that paper called?
Knights something.
Yeah, the Knights Observer. So she's got like a little Dick Tracy thing going on. And so she's writing as fast as it's happening. So she calls me that night, or maybe the next day, and says, "Hey, can you give us a statement on yesterday's activities?" I'm like, "Who's this?"
What activities?
Yeah, she identifies herself, and she goes, "Well, we know it was someone from this fraternity, and they had a friend at the front desk." I'm like, "Oh yeah, what was the friend's name?" Because she's talking to me, right? Because we don't know his name.
He doesn't work here.
I said, "Those people don't have any friends." And so she says, "We'll find out who it is, but do you have his name?" And I said, "I don't know. That's a good idea that you're going to falsify records and you have no."
Yeah, so you're trying to make her feel bad.
Yeah. And I said, "You could get sued for that." She goes, "No, it's freedom of the press." I'm like, I don't think so. You need to go back and look up that stuff.
Fake news. Second time you used it.
That's right. So anyway, they never got the person's name, and then they published the story as a friend of theirs at the front desk. Yeah,
I agree. So they interviewed Alan, who was the president of Sigma Chi, and he had what I thought was one of the best quotes in my time there, which was they asked him what if he knew about it and what he was going to do about it. He said, "Well, first of all, I'd have to laugh." I thought that was pretty good. First, I'm going to have to. I think if you read the paper, it says something about first I have to laugh, and of course I'd reprimand him if we find out.
Well, we got a pretty big stink. The fortunate thing, the lady who was the head of the library was an older senior citizen kind of lady on the way to retiring, and she was friends with
drinker herself.
Well, she was friends with my youth froze, not me.
Your storm is making your internet jump, so I'm sure I'm jumping as well.
Anyway, so she was a friend of, I think, my parents or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, because she was a United Daughters of the Confederacy,
Okay.
and they had just installed my brother as a United Son of the Confederacy, and they had this big hullabaloo as a UCF grad and a Army major. You know, they had this big
There's something
ceremony.
you won't hear anymore, but you keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she knew me personally. And then the gal that was the head of like Greek on campus,
Oh, okay.
he was kind of young. She was in her 30s probably. Um she came down pretty hard on Alan. Alan was like, "You almost got us kicked off campus." But so we had
But
to
for
do,
what though? That was the thing. That's what I'm saying. Back to our earlier statement. What did we really do? We had a party in a study room. Come on. We would have cleaned it up. We would have done everything. No harm, no foul
I don't know,
kind
it
of
got
thing.
way out of hand though. I was like, "You got to be
Hey,
this is classic how we blow this thing up and it turns into be a because the papers went up. That's what gave it all away, all the newspapers on the windows."
that and I think one of the rooms next door complained about the noise. So there was like one or two events that led to because I think
Two cases of brew going down. I
well,
don't
no
know.
one knew that. So like I said, was it a breach of library ethics?
It was a case
Yes.
study. It was a case study
A
room.
literal case study. Yes. And should we have been reprimanded for our actions? Absolutely. But
So what would have happened in today's hyper PC world with that?
they absolutely the kids might have been expelled because you're not allowed to tolerate any kind. You can't. There's two ways you can handle things, right? You can let everything be a wash and just say kids will be kids, or you can go the absolute opposite, which is just everything it gets the same punishment, and that's what most people follow in this day and age because it's the easiest one to follow, right? Instead of taking it on a case by case basis and evaluating and for what it really is, and the money dictates it, right? If say one of the
Liability.
big library donors or something said, "Hey, I want these kids off campus," it's probably going to happen.
So go back 40 years. My father and I became friends after I never knew what he did until I was probably 18 or 20 years old because worked in the Cold War during the time and he couldn't talk about work. But we became fast friends after I got to college and really became close. And so
Right.
he started to share with me some of the antics that he did in college.
Oh, yeah.
And so he went to Mississippi State and he lived in this old dormitory called Old Main. And it was one of those traditional wood barn, huge dormitories of its time. It had no heat. During the winter, they had fires inside the building. They put in garbage can lids. And then in the end, the building burned down. Imagine that.
Nice.
But one of the antics
From
they
an
did,
electrical spark, not from
yeah,
a fire.
was they took a professor's car and they carried it up the stairs, a bunch of guys. It was like a small import job or something like that. And they took his car into Old Main and put it inside the hallway. And,
Holy cow.
and so they were, all loaded up, I'm sure. They
Right.
were a bunch of
Yeah.
Lamakai alphas. But they
Those
were,
lambda guys.
yeah,
Party
they had
animals.
a lot of bodies because
They had a lot
of
of members. Yeah.
But the point is, you know, I don't want to say kids will be kids, but look at that antics that were going on. That's very similar to what we were doing, I guess, on
Yeah.
some level.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, that was kind of, yeah. Again, was he kicked out?
No.
Right. And it's kind of what I mean. But yeah, what happens a lot of times is, the next generation hears about that story. So they try to one up, right? Not only do
Yeah.
they steal the car, they put it on the roof of the building or they do this and it keeps escalating to the point that someone's got to say nothing anymore, instead of. So
Well,
anyhow,
yeah, good
how
stuff.
did we even get to that story?
I think it was going down in the glass.
Oh, and that we didn't cause the campus, the civic guys to get kicked off campus. Yeah. So, and that's probably the worst thing we did. Would you agree? Just don't mention other things, Dave. Now you say yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
No,
Very
I
good.
agree. I mean, that's as far as the same reaching.
And the pledges were invited, so it wasn't like we were hazing them and excluding them from the party.
They were invited.
And I'm sure they were. Well, the amount of people that showed up within 10 minutes, the
Well, the
word
fact
was out.
that y'all communicated it without phones,
I have no idea how.
it was a
Someone
cavalcade
was
of
at
people.
the library that I must have come back to the fraternity house and was standing because it was always a hangout out front there, with
Yeah,
people.
but I
And
mean, to travel from the library to the fraternity house was no.
easy jaunt. Yeah, it's
Yeah, it wasn't
5 minutes at best, if not 10 or 15 normally.
not walking in a car.
Oh, I'm sure it was in a car. Yeah, I'm sure it was someone drove. So no, walking would have been,
An hour.
yeah, by the time you walked off camp. Yeah, because the library was set back there pretty far. But anyhow,
Anyway,
you know what else happened on this day, Dave?
no,
The O.J. Simpson arrest.
the Bronco chase.
No, that wasn't the arrest. Remember,
Oh,
they
okay.
were just looking for him. Then they arrested him. I think a day or two later, right? Or maybe it was that night. They took. You're right. That probably was the famous Bronco chase.
Trying to remember where I was. Were we
That's why I brought it up.
were we on campus? What year was
No,
that?
this was 94.
Was it 94?
Mm-hmm. Because I was in, I think, Atlanta at the time, or maybe still in Orlando. I was kind of in between Orlando and Atlanta at that time. So, because I do remember watching the Bronco chase. I think I was in Orlando for the chase, and I was in Atlanta for the trial, when the trial wrapped up. So, because I think I came home and Rick had it on the TV, and that was one of the biggest TV
Oh yeah, the
things
biggest.
of the year. Believe it or not, now it's every day. But what am I trying to say? TV shows of the year, I guess. I don't
Well,
know if they were able
real
to call.
TV like this
Yeah.
this case in Boston that's going on. We wouldn't have
Yes.
this Boston case if it wasn't for OJ. I don't think court TV.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think the story. Yeah, the story would be as big. But they found out how sensational these crime dramas can be. They
Well,
call
think
it.
about the little girl that killed her daughter.
Oh, and that was right down the road from me in
Yeah.
South Carolina.
No,
Yeah.
no, the one in Orlando.
Oh, that's right. KC something. That's when I
Yeah.
was living. I believe I was living in Orlando at the time. That's how it was. I wonder what year that was.
That was 2-6 or 2-7 because we
I
were in
wasn't.
Baker
Okay, then
County.
it wasn't. Could have sworn I remember. I thought you meant the lady in South Carolina drove her car into the lake with her
Oh,
two
with the
kids
babies.
strapped.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two kids strapped.
That's
What are
another
these
one.
people for a boyfriend? Oh yeah, boyfriend doesn't like my kids, so I'm gonna drown them to death. That makes sense.
In a Honda Accord.
I don't remember that, but it was. She was up for parole recently, actually, but they denied her parole for
Oh, that's
whatever
good.
reason. But all right,
Well, I don't want to hog that. I think that story was a team effort, right? I never really
yeah,
heard the full backstory from the behind the scenes. I know I had
yeah,
my side of the story.
right, and that's why I just didn't remember how it initiated from the Nights Out pub across the street. See that maybe that's how it got to the fraternity house. Because the Nights Out
Well, there
pub
was nobody there. It was just the three of us.
because that's halfway between the library and the old
Well,
sick
so they
house.
would have gone straight to the fraternity house, and I would have
Right.
gone to campus.
Right.
That's how it happened. And they
Okay.
probably went to the fraternity house to get beer, or they went to the place next
There was
door.
never beer in a fraternity house. You kidding me?
That's
Beer
true.
lasted all of 13 seconds in that place.
Maybe they went right next door to the grab.
Oh,
It
that's
store.
right. The Nights Out Pub was in the same plaza as that mini mart.
Subway and a mini mart.
Have you ever driven by that place? The old
Yeah.
Nights Out Pub. It's since closed.
Well, I saw it once. The fellow, the Pike, bought it.
Oh, did he?
So he was.
It's like a burned out rat trap now. Last time I drove by.
Yeah, big heavy set guy.
Hmm.
Crockett, Ted Crockett bought it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well, he must have run it into the ground then.
I don't know.
So-
I mean, it was doomed when we were there. It was one of those hole in the walls, to say the least.
I
Anyway.
enjoyed many a night there, though.
Oh, Drove my
So-
Chevy to the levee a couple.
Oh God, whatever that guy's name was that sang all the time. Yep. Anyhow, let's get off that
let's
subject because none of our listeners.
Can recollect. All
Right.
right, so I have a deer story or multiple deers, and then I got an update on our FPLA trip. So what do you want? What do
Okay.
you want to do?
Well, let's go deer story
Okay.
because we got 15 minutes left.
Okay, so I'll make it quick.
Well, you don't have to.
So we moved, witness protection and all. So we moved.
Right. Do you want to tell us where you moved to?
No, I can't do that.
Oh, okay.
I'm in the state of Florida. Anyway, so we have a loft, I guess a studio loft apartment. So it's an upstairs, downstairs configuration. And as I'm sitting in our studio right now, it's as if I'm looking out the backyard. And my backyard is previously was a golf course. But I don't know how you say
You must
it.
have a big backyard.
200 acres.
if it was a golf course.
It's a preserve now, a 200-acre preserve. So I'm looking out over the number 2 tee box to this side.
Could you play the hole if
I don't know. It looks like there's a fairway of sorts, but it's the grass is grown up.
everything's overgrown and if you take a push mower out there, could you make a par 3 out of it or something?
Well, whatever it is, it's like the U.S. Open. It's about a 6 foot rough. The second rough or third rough is about 6 foot. But anyway,
are you looking out at it now?
Yeah.
Oh, because you keep looking up.
Well, my
That's
window, I have a bay window that's
okay.
6 foot across.
Ooh, la-ti-da, Mr.
Yeah.
Rich.
So I've got an oak hammock, which would be the fringe. If you were at the tee box, your back, if you're right-handed, your back would be toward me right now, hitting the ball to the left. So I'm on the fringe inside the oak hammock. And so we have I don't know what you call them, a herd of deer. It's about 10 doe. And we've got a baby that's traveling with them. And then we did see a young juvenile buck.
Right.
He's in felt. He's got 2 little spikes.
Okay.
But they're not big like your guys are. But anyway, the lady just down the way from us had been feeding them corn in the morning. And it's nice. I mean, they're not a nuisance. But I think she died. This is number 2.
Oh, your second neighbor died.
Yeah, because
you're going to be the oldest tenured person in that park soon, man.
Well, I was
getting
something out of the car the other day, and I noticed another one of those
body bags come out.
Biohazard crews. It says for hoarders and blood and all this other stuff. So I'm like, wait a minute, what are those guys doing here?
My neighbor was dragging a body bag out to the curb. I'm like, oh, look at that.
Well, then I noticed that the deer, they go to her back porch, and you know how they stomp their hoof.
Yeah.
And they're like, where's the damn food? So I told Sheila, I said, I think she's dead and they're not getting fed. So I went out today and bought a steel feed garbage can with a tight lid on it. I can't take any pictures for social media. Okay. And I bought a 40-pound bag of corn and
You'll be through that by Saturday.
Well, we're gonna ration it out and see what we need to put out.
This is my thing, right? So this is why you should not feed wildlife, right? So wildlife, they manage the amount of offspring they have based on the habitat, right? They're not like humans, just no matter what, keep producing if they want to. They do it to the habitat, and the habitat only has so much food. So when you start feeding them, you up the habitat availability. Correct. And so they have more kids because, we can support it now. And then when you suddenly take that food away, there's not enough for the deer. So it's up, then starts the strongest survive kind of thing.
And that's when we shoot one of them and take one of them and make.
Well, yes, there is that too. But
my grandson's already on the case.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is it legal there though?
Who cares? He shot a couple with a bow, so we can stand on the back balcony and bow shoot.
Listen, I could not kill another animal, but I am. If you're going to use the animal, I'm all for it.
No, I don't think we could pull off a kill shot off the back porch. I think we would have more neighbors in our
Up on the
city.
second tee, Bambi.
Dave from Fleming Island looks like he's got a 4-prong arrow in his quiver.
Right.
That's
There he
not a
goes.
9
He's got
iron.
it back. He's taking the backswing.
Anyway, so
So what are you going to do? How long is this going to last? How much? Okay. First of all, 40-pound bag of feed. How much?
$7.
What?
Yeah, the whole get up today cost me $45. I had to buy the steel can with a lid because I'm keeping it in the house.
Oh, great.
Well,
so now you're going to have rats in your house.
No, I got it. That's an airtight lid, and then I got a scoop,
right,
and then I bought the deer, so it cost me.
Before you know it, you're going to have a salt lick out there. Hay
well,
bales.
I did look at the salt licks with the minerals, and they're like $35. I said, no, they're not getting that out of me. And then apparently the little girl at the Tractor Supply goes, they like apples too, and I'm like, I'm sure they like a lot of stuff. But...
they like beer too, but I didn't give them that.
why
don't you see if you can get a deer drunk?
Well, that would be cruel. That'd be cruelty.
Why?
Who knows? In the town I live in, what comes next after you get a deer drunk? That's a whole.
It's not getting the deer drunk. That's the problem. It's what you do with a drunk deer. That's the problem.
I ain't seen a lot of buck, a lot of doe so far, so I don't know if I want to get into that. But anyway, I did do a little research to find out how much 200 acres will support how many deer.
Right.
And between we average
and you don't know how many are on the other side or anything.
Well, no. So there's plenty of food, first of all. And the area that we live in, there's probably people taking them to hunt. We can't control where they're going, so they're being hunted. And then there's the roadkill factor.
Right. That's the part that worries me around here.
Well, we've seen 2 since we've moved here. In 40 days, we've seen two doe dead on the road.
On the
highway.
Okay, that's dangerous, man. At least in my neighborhood, the most you're probably going 40. But
apparently someone's hit him in our neighborhood too, which causes all kind of ruckus on the Facebook page. They're like, "Oh, you better slow down."
Around here, we know, and it's horrible. But if the deer dies like in a patch of woods or something near your house, you got to drag them out onto the road because the city won't come get them unless they're on the road. Right. If they're just in your backyard or something like that, like you just decide, they die of old age or whatever. If they do that, you got to get them out to the road.
This is a pretty rural area where we are, and they don't last. The buzzards have them cleaned up.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
24 hours.
A long time I was up in Tennessee, and we have a sizable backyard, and a groundhog had passed away in the backyard. I was walking down, I'm like, oh man, I thought it was alive at first. I looked at it and it was dead. And within about 2 to 3 hours, we're sitting there watching TV, and I look out the back window. It must have been 50 buzzards circling it. And they would come down and swing by it. And we're like, oh, that is the eeriest thing to witness. Is that
I had a plan to get rid of that stuff. So put that.
Well, it's not. Well, I will say, when I kill mice or snakes or anything like that, I'd never use a poison. And I put it out at the street, and within an hour, it's gone all the time. There's enough wildlife up there that something comes by and gets it.
Yeah. So anyway, that's that. We're gonna keep track of it and see how we do. I'm not into.
What's the objective here?
Well, it's funny because
you want them to come in the house so you don't have to use a scoop anymore.
No, at one point we had about 22 acres that we owned out in Baker County. And my whole goal was, I've never shot one before. And I just really, a large portion of this property was pasture.
I thought you told us a story where you woke up and one was right in your face.
Yeah, there were 3 of them right there, but I could never shoot them.
Oh, you didn't shoot? I thought you did. Okay.
I was turkey hunting at the time.
Oh, okay.
We have there's 2 hens with these, their baby turkeys look like raptors. They're hilarious looking. But we have turkeys that come along, scratch underneath it. But anyway, my whole goal on that property was to have deer come up where I could feed them and, take care of them and kind of watch them. But my neighbors out there, I'm sure, shoot them. And then the way our land was configured, we kept the neighbor that we bought it from, the wild undergrowth behind the pasture. They kept their goats on with one of those big Pomeranian, a big white dog. What's the
Okay.
dog? It's like a shepherd dog.
Himalayan or something
Yeah,
like
it's a big
that.
shepherd, like a big
Yeah.
retriever, but it was a shepherd dog. Anyway, and so I think that dog kept the deer at bay. So we never had any deer. So now
Oh,
I
okay.
moved to this area and I got a herd of a dozen in the backyard. So I'm enjoying it. It's been kind of fun so far, and they're fun to watch while I'm having a cigar.
Yeah, wait till one bites you because
Well,
you didn't give them food.
they're gonna have
Yeah.
to climb a ladder to do that. So
Oh, that's right. You're not on the first floor. I was thinking you're on the first floor.
yeah.
So
But
I was
anyway,
envisioning you just getting lazy one night and opening the trash can and letting them come in the house and eat. Eat it. I will say, I met someone recently, and it's very interesting. They have a groundhog in their backyard, and he started giving it bananas of all things, and it eats the bananas. And he showed me a picture where the groundhog has got its paw up on the sliding glass door, like, "Hey, where's my bananas?" Kind
are those
of
the things
thing.
that scream?
I don't, I
That's a
don't
prairie
know
dog.
what they do.
I don't
Some
know.
people call them whistle pigs. Maybe that's why, because they
Yeah,
make a
maybe that's what it
whistle
is.
sound or something. So
Anyway, so the last piece, do I have the floor still?
yeah, you have 4 minutes.
Okay, so FBLA, we are fully funded. Um,
Congratulations.
it was not arduous, but it came together. So I'll say praise the Lord. I think I'm a believer that the Lord delivers on those things, puts the right people in place to give us money, and He did. And so we had a couple headaches with some people that we had to go through to get stuff done logistically,
Right.
but that's all taken care of. I picked up a check today for expenses, so we'll have enough money. We don't have it totally funded, but we have all of our rooms and our airfares paid for, and I've
Eh,
got
Everything's
four.
paid for, but the ride to the airport.
Yeah, but we've got that taken care of from Jacksonville and from Anaheim to the hotel and vice versa. And we've got some per diem at $19 for dinner for four
And
nights.
and good luck
Yeah, that'll be a dinner roll and a pat of butter maybe at
if you're
19 bucks.
lucky in California, man.
But it's
So
something. So I'll be able to give the kids 80 bucks and to have some walking around money to at least offset something.
right.
Um, and my wife's going to be with me, and
That's right.
we're gonna have a good trip. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we come back with maybe a national championship or two. So we'll see how it
I mean,
goes.
how many of you, besides you and your wife, how many kids are you
We
escorting?
have a young gal. She'll be a senior this year, and she's performing her event. And then a young fella who I know personally because he was a seventh grader and eighth grader with me. And I took him to Atlanta. He's the kid that won the
Hmm.
state and national championship for me in Atlanta. And then we went last year to Orlando, which was the national. That's where I saw Chris,
Right.
and he competed. He took second place in state, but he didn't get a call back in national, so he was
Hmm.
pretty disappointed. And then this year will be his third. He took second place in state again, and so we're back in the saddle. He's got 120 kids to compete against in California.
Do you like hang a banner from the ceiling of your classroom?
I do have his band. He let me have his national
Okay.
championship,
Your
so it's part of
banner.
the yeah, it's
That's
part of the
nice.
recruitment tool.
Okay, good. Good.
Yeah, so all things are, and then we have another young fellow who's a graduated senior. He'll be going to UCF next fall, but he competed at state, didn't advance, but he was smart enough to apply for an internship. So he'll be working the national
Okay.
convention, on their dime, and they don't pay him, but they give him some food allowance, and
Right.
we had to get him there and get a room for him. So
And fun this trip. Yeah. Well, cool.
yeah,
So, um, we only have a minute left, and I don't know if I'll ever get an opportunity. But today it marks the anniversary of the Watergate. I think it's the time when they went into the Watergate Hotel and stole the material from the Democratic National Committee. It was broken into by 5 men. Yeah, so this is the anniversary. I delivered a package to Watergate when I was a courier in Washington, D.C. Say?
were you deep throat?
No, no.
You mean
No,
you've
but
been to the hotel?
Yes, yeah, and
I
went up
drove
to
by it.
yeah, and I went up to one of the rooms and knocked on the door and delivered a package to some guy with America's Cup shirt on. I don't know if he was
Tricky Dicky.
yeah, I don't know if he was tied to it at all. My problem was I was not in well, I was never a reader, and I had no concept of what even Watergate was. So when I saw Watergate, the hotel, I'm like, oh my God, that's Watergate? It's a building? I knew the scandal Watergate.
Oh yeah, you
So
thought Watergate. Yeah.
yeah. So when I got the call, they gave me the package and it was addressed to the Watergate Hotel. I was even at that time when I was 15, I think it was, I was still like, well, I know this has something to do with the scandal, but I don't know what. So it's stuck in my mind. That's all.
15. What were you, a mule? Were you running drugs or something?
No, I was just summer job, courier in Washington D.C. I had a little 125 enduro motorcycle,
I thought you rode up on
and
your bicycle.
this predates fax machines and stuff, and so most of my work was taking paperwork from law offices, running it down to the federal buildings, stamping it in. Right, you'd have to seal it with a stamp and deliver it to like IRS or
Right.
I delivered something to Vice President Bush, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. I thought I was the hot stink driving through Washington D.C. I'm like just someone pull me over.
I'm a pretty big deal here. I got documents.
I got something for the vice president. So I pulled at the time you could pull up to the guard shack at the White House, right? Pennsylvania Avenue was still open and everything.
Yeah.
And so I pull up and I'm like, yeah, I got something for Vice President Bush. The guy looks at me. He's like, yeah, go next door. You don't go to the White House. You go to
they're
the mail
across the street.
The mailroom's across the street. So I got that's as close as I got to the White House for delivering my package. But anyhow, we're out of time.
Okay. All righty. Well, listen, folks. Seriously, listen.
Please listen.
Now check us out on Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Podcast Addict. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, and let's give some special effects here real quick.
YouTube.
Make sure that you send us to the moon.
There you go.
Launch
You're
us.
have to find out why he said that by watching the YouTube.
So you have to watch it all the way to the end.
Skip to the end, though. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, mash the button on YouTube, please. We could use some subscribers. If you don't want to do it, then we do care, but we don't care about you.
Yeah. Just sign your kids up.
All right. We're going to go over to Spaces, right?
If I have to.
We got to talk to, what's his name?
All right.
Where's the button? Oh, shit.
All right. Good night.
Good night, dear.